Okay, so today I thought I'd do a little army showcase for my biggest army for Oathmark, which is my Skaven army. And I thought I'd just go through what I have at the moment and what I'm using to represent each unit in my army. This army, I think, is a bit over 3,000 points, so bigger than your average game of Oathmark. So let's start moving from left to right and go through what I have. So the first unit is this giant unit of Storm Vermin. There is actually meant to be 20 in the unit, but I just wanted to keep them up nice and ranked up neatly for a other game that won't be mentioned. But in Oathmark, I use these Storm Vermin. I use Orc Warrior stats to represent the Storm Vermin, because it seems that they're at the right kind of toughness and fighting capability level of what they would be. Then I have a unit of 20 Goblin Spearmen, which are represented by these clan rats. The classic Screaming Bell, I'm using as a chariot, just with a champion riding it. I've got these 2 units of small giant rats, and I'm using these just as units of 5 wolves. In the back I've got my 3 rat ogres. I use troll stats to represent them. And then I've got my 20 plague monks, being led by Lord Skrolk. So Lord Skrolk's actually one of the advisors, giving him the command ability. And I use Orc line breaker stats for the plague monks, because that gives them really good fight value. Then I have a unit, these are actually, you can't tell, but they've got slings. But I was using slave slingers, but they were just so ineffective, so I actually just count this unit as 20 goblin archers instead. And then I've got the Doom Wheel. And the Doom Wheel, I actually use the Surma stats for the Doom Wheel, because the Surma's got that stone gaze, which I imagine is the warp lightning coming out of the warp generator. And then it's got like quite a good fight value as well. And shielding too, which kind of represents like, I guess, like the sturdy woodenness of the Doom Wheel itself. Moving further along, I've got another unit of 20 Goblin Spearmen, and they're just led by Champion. So Queek here is just going to be a little Goblin Champion. Another unit of 20 Goblin Spearmen, led by another Champion. I keep using these Champions just because they're cheap, and it means I can use as many of my characters as possible in a game. And then further along, I've got 10 Gutter Runners. They're led by a champion as well, who I give a magical bow, just so I can use my classical Deathmaster Snitch model. And I use them as human rangers, just because there isn't a Goblin Ranger unit. And it gives them a bit of better activation, which kind of, the Gutter Runners always have a little bit better leadership characteristics than the rest of the Skaven army. And moving up onto the hill, I've got my level 2 wizard, which I use for this Warlock engineer here. I've got 2 light artillery pieces. And then the Greyseer, I use as my level 3 or 4 wizard whenever I decide I want to use a higher level one. And then the last piece I have, sorry for the camera movement, the last piece, I have this Vermin Lord model up here, which I got as a 3D print. I was very happy with. And I don't quite know what to use this as in Oathmark. So in the comments, if anyone has any suggestions about what would best represent a Vermin Lord in Oathmark Battle of the Lost Ages, that would be really appreciated. But that's my army showcase, and that's how I represent my Skaven in Oathmark Battle of Lost Ages. Maybe in the 2nd edition there'll be a Ratman army list, so I could use some more official rules for them. That's it for today. Thanks and bye.